I've been thinking a little bit about this lady called Gisele Pelicot. I'm sure some of you guys know who I'm talking about. Sorry about that. Gisele Pelicot is the French lady who unfortunately is going to court now because her husband, for many years, had been secretly drugging her, so that he could rape her and also his friends. And now it's a big court case in France. She's standing up for she's obviously standing up for herself. She's giving evidence. She's testifying. She's bringing all of these guys to justice, and everybody's looking at her like a very brave woman that she is, and maybe like a beacon for feminism and just in general for putting the face to women who suffer that type of abuse. Now, the really sad thing about this story is that I've been doing a bit of digging and reading some stuff on French Twitter about the story. And the really heartbreaking thing about it is this conversation around being a perfect victim, which this lady, unfortunately, by all accounts, isn't. So there's a current story or conversation happening on French Twitter where people are saying that this lady, Gisele Pelicot, her daughter actually wrote a book about her experience growing up. And the daughter alleges that the dad was abusive. Now, I don't know if the dad was abusive in terms of sexually, if you're just abusive, like, physically, I don't really know. But allegedly, the daughter had raised a lot of red flags about her dad to her mum. But the mum, in classic, boomer mum fashion, sort of poo-pooed those things to one side, dismissed them, swept them under the rug, probably gaslit the kid to make them think you're thinking it all in your head, blah, 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 blah. Just went to bat for the husband. And then there's also this story that I've read that allegedly her husband, before they married, or even during the time that they were married, had been convicted of rape. Or was, or let's say was accused of rape. Let's say convicted. Was accused of rape allegedly twice. Or something along those kind of lines. Which again is something that I've always been fascinated with. I've said it before on this particular podcast. I've always been fascinated with the fact that whenever I've read stories on this podcast about dudes who are abusive, who maybe R-word people, who sexually harass people and shit, usually when they're going to court, you always see them holding hands with some woman. And I always wonder to myself, wouldn't that be like the red flag of the wouldn't that be wouldn't that be a flag the size of the United States if a guy had been accused of or convicted of the R-word? Even if they were found not guilty, that should make the majority of women, like 99% of women, be like, you know what, you're out. I can't date you. I can't hook up with you. I can't anything with you. That's too much of a red flag. But it seems like in the real world, women actually don't give a F, because I don't think I've seen a high profile R-word, person who has not had a female companion by their side go to court. That's a really sad and interesting part about it. So clearly in the real world, that doesn't really matter as much as people like to say it does on the internet. And then on the back of that, so yeah, she poo-pooed away the abuse claims allegedly by the daughter. There's accusations that the husband had previously had 2 R-word accusations against him. And then the other thing I heard as well is that there's some other accusations about the husband, ex-husband. Allegedly, he was one of those upskirt guys, which I think is obviously is definitely one of those gateway things to very serious types of sexual assault down the line. So allegedly, he was convicted, or allegedly convicted of taking girls' pictures upskirts and shit, right? Which you would imagine is something that people would look at quite seriously. So the sad thing about this story is that even though this lady clearly is a victim of a very abhorrent and horrible crime, it looks like there were loads of red flags before what happened to her, or during the time it was happening to her, that she didn't pay too mind about. And then as soon as it obviously affects her, suddenly, she's been heralded as a perfect victim, and everybody has to kind of focus in on what her issues was, when there was loads of other things that happened prior that she probably could have heeded, that would have, maybe averted some of the things that happened to her. But I think in general, that conversation about the perfect victim isn't necessary, because what if what she says happened to her, then it doesn't really matter, because getting raped by your husband repeatedly and his friends, and it all being filmed, and you being drugged the entire time, is absolutely crazy, really, really fucking crazy. And she still does deserve a lot of credit for basically standing up for herself and bringing these guys to justice, because this is the only way this sort of stuff is going to stop. But we also need to have honest conversations, around some women out there who, for whatever reason, give a lot of these guys who have clearly a lot of red flags and a lot of skeletons in their closet, second, third chances, and they end up going to abuse more and more people. There needs to come a point where, you know, people call out the evil amongst us. I've said it before, you know, many a time on this particular podcast. I personally think that we're never going to rid ourselves of evil. I think evil exists in the world the same way that good exists in the world. So if evil exists in the world, then it's up to us, quote unquote, good people to call it out. That's the only way you actually rid kind of evil. But you're not ever going to rid evil people from the world. But the way you kind of destroy that sort of thing is by exposing them and bring them to the light. But you can't bring them to the light if you just keep making excuses for them and turning a blind eye or doing what people usually do, where they're like, oh, he didn't do it to me, so I'm fine. It's like, bruh, if he's got a track record of doing this horrible stuff to other people, then you have to think that eventually you will be next. No? Surely you will be next. But regardless, horrible situation. There's actually an article update about it, courtesy of The Guardian here. It says a soldier, a nurse, a lorry driver, and dozens more. Who are the men accused over rape and assault of Gisele Pelicot? So let's actually read the article here. A total of 51 men are on trial over the alleged attacks of Gisele Pelicot, recruited by her then husband Dominique Pelicot, who has admitted to drugging and raping her. So the husband admitted to it, but the 50 men haven't, because they're saying that they thought that she was into it, that she was consenting. It's like, bruh, like, what kind of defense is this? And I think the most disturbing part about the story is that some of these guys, their wives are actually defending them too. And saying that, yeah, she was into this sort of stuff. It's not their fault. Like, proper victim blaming. Like, the French are on another level when it comes to, you know, conversations around abuse and assault and shit. They are an interesting group of people. I honestly say that. Interesting group of people. So let's continue. The 50 men accused of rape and assault alongside Dominique Pelicot are aged between 26 and 74. They include a nurse, a journalist, a prison warden, a local councillor, a soldier, lorry drivers, and farm workers. They each face up to 20 years in prison. In total, 49 are accused of rape, 1 attempted rape, and 1 of sexual assault. 5 others have been accused of possessing child abuse imagery. So it's not enough that you're raping a woman that's unconscious. You're also holding on to a child. God almighty. It just gets worse and worse. Most lived in the south of France within 60-kilometer radius of the village Mazan, where the Pelicots live. 6 were previous convictions for domestic violence. 2 were convictions for sexual violence. A total of 23 have criminal record for offences such as drunk driving and possessions of drugs. Yo. Is this like small town shit, or is there any correlation between having any kind of criminal record and sexual assault and the R word? God, that's scary. I'm sure somebody smart out there is plotting this on some sort of graph or inputting it in some sort of Excel sheet, because that is wild. Some of the accused men have admitted to rape, but said that they did not set out with this intention and have apologized in court to Gisele. Okay, you said sorry. That's fine then. No worries. You said sorry. It's okay. You can go home now. Apologize, you know. Bro, sit down in court and get these years, man. A grandmother and former logistics manager have denied the charge of rape, saying that they believe that they were taking part in a game by a couple. Gisele Pelicot, unknowingly sedated and raped by her former husband Dominique Pelicot, 71, who crushed sleeping tablets and anti-anxiety medication into her food and drinks and invited men to rape her over a 9-year period from 2011 to 2020. I would love to hear, just in terms of just interest and curiosity, I would love to hear what like Red Pill France, Red Pill, you know, yeah, French Red Pill YouTube had to say about this. I bet you the opinions are toxic as fuck. I would love to hear what some of the pick-me French content creators are saying about this, because I bet they got some very interesting theories behind it. Saying shit like she was probably into it, that's a kink, that's a dick. Like, I bet you they are saying some wild stuff on that side of social media. I can just imagine. Pelicot has admitted that the charges against him, and said that for almost a decade he was in contact with the men online chat room titled Without Her Knowledge, where he would organize for strangers to come to the couple's home. I am a rapist like the others in this room, Pelicot told the court. The case is being heard by a panel of 5 professional judges in the southern city of Avignon and runs until December. Gisele Pelicot has waived her right for anonymity in order for the trial to be held in public. Shame must change sides. Big up her. So this is the first person, Cyril D54. Trained as a butcher, Cyril is accused of raping Gisele Pelicot in her home in September 2019. Cyril's partner, the mother of his children, was on holiday at the time. He said he was sexually frustrated with his relationship and had gone online chat room to console himself. In court, Cyril admitted to rape, saying that he had realized later that he had not gained Gisele Pelicot's consent, only her husband's. He said Gisele Pelicot was clearly unconscious, but that her husband had been insistent. He said, "I'm sorry, I was naive, a little stupid, an idiot." He told the court, "Women do not belong to men." Gisele Pelicot's lawyer saw a video evidence that showed that the alleged rape by Cyril had put her life in danger, as she had risked not being able to breathe. Yo. Cyril D detailed a violent childhood at the hands of his alcohol. Look at the lack of accountability. Honestly, men like this deserve to go to prison just for the lack of accountability. The lack of accountability in this is fucking horrible. In a way, he's almost blaming this rape of this lady on his own wife. He's saying he was sexually frustrated in a relationship. So he's almost blaming, he's actually blaming the fact that he may have raped this woman on his own wife, who wasn't even there at the time. And then he's also blaming his alcoholic father for beating him up when he was a kid. That's why he was violent with women in general. Bruh, let's have some personal accountability, right? Let's have some self-awareness of our own actions, no? Personal responsibility here. Maybe a smidge, which is kind of hard to say for criminals, right? If you're a criminal, the first thing that you say is, "I didn't do it," so maybe that doesn't make sense. But let's continue. Cyril D detailed a violent childhood at the hands of his alcoholic father, who he said would wait outside school with a meat cleaver to attack him and threaten him. All right, now we're being dramatic. Now we're being fucking dramatic. All right. "My father was Hitler," he told the court. After the brutal public beatings of his father outside the school, Cyril D was placed in care as a teenager. So he's trying to frame himself as a victim. Like, I was actually a victim. That's why I did what I did. Yo, if they get off on this defense, I'll be flabbergasted. Lionel, 44, a worker of the Pelicots local supermarket, the Carpentras. Lionel was a married father of 3 when he made contact with Dominique Pelicot. In court, Lionel admitted raping Gisele on December 2nd, 2018 at her home, but he said that he did not intend to commit rape. Huh? "I did rape her, but I didn't mean to. Since I had never obtained Miss Pelicot's content, I have no choice but to accept the facts." Turning to Gisele Pelicot, he said, "I'm sorry. I can only imagine the nightmare you lived through, and I'm part of this nightmare. I never told myself I'll rape that woman," but he admitted I am guilty of rape. He added that he should have left what he saw he should have left when he saw that she was unconscious, and that it was cowardly of him not to. Of course. Then how can you say you don't intend? Like, how can you, honestly? I guess there are some dudes who think this way, but you can't smash somebody that's unconscious and then think that you are engaging in some sort of consensual sexual act. That's not how it works. Like, if that person's asleep, they can't consent. Like, surely that isn't something that you need to like hear said that way. Surely you should know that already without being, "Oh, I didn't go with the intention of," but you're still a rapist, my G. The court heard that Dominique Pelicot had previously brought an unsuspecting Gisele Pelicot shopping at the supermarket so that Lionel R could see if he was attracted to her. Oh my God. Lionel told the court that he had been sexually, of course, everybody is saying the same thing. Everybody was sexually abused. Everybody was in a sexually frustrating relationship. They're blaming their parents. They're blaming their wives and girlfriends. And like, these guys have no shame, man. Absolute definition of cowards. Absolute definition of cowards. Fucking hell. Now you got your hood up and you're turning your back to the camera. Man, face the camera, man. Take your hood off, man. We know what you did. Jax 72. Jacques 72, a former fire officer who had worked as a truck driver and then owned a pizzeria. Jacques had been married for 25 years and had 2 children. All these guys are family men, by the way. Most people say, "Oh, if you have a wife, if you have a daughter, you wouldn't." Bruh, all of these people most likely have daughters, most likely are married to women, and they still did this heinous shit. Like, there is no, horrible, evil people are horrible, evil people. A dog isn't going to stop them from doing horrible, evil acts. Neither is a daughter, neither is a mother or a wife. Like, that whole narrative people have online is fucking naive as hell. Let's continue. A former fire officer who had worked as a truck driver and then owned a pizzeria. He had been married for 25 years, had 2 children. He told the court he denied rape. He said that he had been naive and that he thought just... How many times have people said the word naive? He thought that Gisele Pelicot would wake up and it was a game by the couple. So if she wakes up, it's okay. So if she wakes up during it, it's okay. But when she... Okay, whatever. Jacques admitted to touching Pelicot, but said that there had been no penetration, therefore no rape. Jacques told the court that he considered that his religious education had made him a giving person who did good and respected women. Huh? Jesus taught me how to... What? He said he loved women in all their complexity. Yo, French people are interesting bunch, man. I want to see a Love is Blind type of show with French people. I bet it would blow the socks. It will blow some people's brains. The way they view relationships and consent and, you know, the way they talk about gender and sexuality. I'd love to see. I'd love to see it. Interesting group of people. Interesting nation of people. Jean-Pierre, a former lorry driver for an agriculture cooperative in southern France. Jean-Pierre was not accused of raping Gisele Pelicot, but said he accused of using the same technique to drug and rape his own wife and organizing for Pelicot to rape her with him. What the fuck, bro? These small towns in France, bro. They need to make a documentary about these small towns in France. They're into some absolutely insane shit. The things that they get up to in these small towns. On the surface, they look super idyllic, right? Super, you know, just mesmerizing and beautiful. But the amount of dirty, evil, disgusting things happening under the surface. Described in court as a disciple of Pelicot, he admitted to sedating his own wife, with whom he had 5 children, enlisting Pelicot to rape her. Oh my God. The two men made contact in an online chat room called without her knowledge. Pelicot alleged to have provided sedatives to drug the man's wife, explained the method, and traveled to rape the woman himself. 2 rapes of Jean-Pierre's wife are alleged to have taken place between 2015 and 2020. Jean-Pierre told the court that he admitted the charges. Pelicot admitted raping Jean-Pierre's wife on several occasions and said he had regretted his actions. He said he had cut contact with the couple after Jean-Pierre's wife woke up during one assault while he was in the bedroom. Court heard how Jean-Pierre's childhood in France, again, Jean-Pierre's childhood in the French countryside was marked by extreme poverty, extreme violence, and he was a victim of sexual abuse of his family. I was raised by pigs in the woods. Oh my God, man. Oh my God. Oh my God. The lack of absolute accountability is absolutely disgusting. My family, my wife did this to me. My cat did this to me. Like, what? Okay, last one. 26. Joan, a soldier for the military in France, is the youngest man on trial at 26. He was 22 at the time of the alleged raping. Oh my God, throw away the key. Throw away the key, man. Bring back capital punishment, please. 22, raping. It's done. You can't rehabilitate someone like that. 22 years old. He's done. He's done. He was 22 when he did that. He's done. He told the court, I'm a rapist because the law says I am. No, because you are, brother. Not because the law says you are, because you are. But he said he had not intended to rape. And at the time, I did not know what the consent was. Oh my God, man. These guys are scary. These guys are scary. At the time, I did not know what consent was. At 22 years of age, you don't know what consent was. He said that he had been invited to the couple's home by Dominique Pelicot for an encounter and did not and was not asked for Gisele Pelicot's consent, saying he learned only in person what consent was. He said that he found it strange that Gisele Pelicot was snoring. You found it strange, but you continued, and said that he knew she was unconscious, but he had not known that that meant she had not consented. In November 2019, Jean was absent for a premature birth of his daughter. On the night, he was accused of raping Giselle. Born in French Guiana, he joined his brother in Avignon when he was 16 before enlisting in the army. The court heard that he had lived in the streets as a teenager when 3 brothers had died. He lost his army job when he was arrested. You describe as a psychologist as chronic use of alcohol and cannabis and depressive, impulsive, and solitary. The fact that only the husband is admitting to what he done and is pleading guilty and is taking some responsibility for his actions and no one else is, says a lot in it. Only one person of the 51 is actually taking accountability for their actions and owning up to it and saying, you know what? I did really wrong. I fucked up. I deserve whatever punishment's coming my way. I'm a horrible person. But the rest of them are making all the excuses under the sun, blaming everybody but themselves. Actually even going as far as saying they're victims. God almighty, man. So love and light and solidarity to Gisele Pelicot. Hopefully she gets the conclusion and result and verdict that she wants. All these guys go away for more than 20 years. Hopefully. But Jesus Christ, what a horrible, scary, sad story. What a horrible, scary, sad story.